Hello and welcome back to OT, the podcast. We're here to talk about watches, time, and how to spend it. I'm Andy Green.
I'm Felix Schultz.
Sure are. New year, same hosts. Felix.
Well, for now, we're going to replace one of us eventually in some sort of deathmatch situation.
Yeah, some sort of duel fight to the bitter end. Felix, we've got quite the show. We have TG London, as he's known on Instagram.
Oh, yeah.
His friends and family probably call him Tom. But he's, if you haven't come across him before, he's a big YouTuber, focuses in the car space, but shock horror. Also very into his watches, in quite a big way for quite some time.
And he's not to do too many in the way of spoilers, but there's some really interesting perspectives that I think the air quotes watch fam would find interesting
and worth noting. Like the watches he's collecting and he's collected since we've done this recording have been really quite interesting, from Bamford limited editions to Laurent Ferrier to Artisan de Genève. He's really got like an eclectic mix of really interesting watches. So it's going to be a good chat.
Before that though, Andy, what have you been up to?
What have I been up to? Not a whole lot, obviously. Cruisy start to the year, but I've been listening to a bit of music. I'm sure you might have seen Ed Sheeran dropped a new track just out of the blue, right before the end of the year. So last year, just because, not part of a new album, which I just loved. He just kind of said, "Oh, I've got this song I recorded. I really like it. Here you guys go. Don't expect anything else."
I've just been seeing him hanging out with fellow redhead Harry. Is he still Prince Harry? I don't know. Whatever his title is at the moment.
He is to me. Interestingly, though, he's always got good wrist game, as we've talked
famously.
About in the past.
Yeah.
Famously good wrist game, famously elusive. Do you know what I saw on his wrist?
A watch.
Yes, a watch. John Mayer X Odinky Casio.
Damn. Isn't it? Hang on. This is I want to get to the fact that he's wearing that watch in a second. But is it X Hodinky or is it just John Mayer and Casio?
Well, John Mayer owns part of Hodinky, so...
Oh, fair play.
Don't know. But the watch obviously sold out really, really quickly. John Mayer did that sort of unboxing video, which became a very hilarious meme quite quickly.
Yep. Amongst the usual suspects of the meme Instagram.
Yeah. Now, this one was quite funny, but sold out. And what I found really interesting was, like, Ed Sheeran's not buying that online. So how did he get it? Would you reckon that was just like John organising FedEx?
John 100% would have sent it to him.
Just sent it to him? Surprised him?
Well, either that or, I don't know, maybe they caught up or chat. I don't know. Are they mates?
Yeah, they're mates. Okay. That's how Ed did the open letter on Hodinky a couple of years ago.
Oh, yeah. So maybe he's like, hey, I'm designing a watch. You want to have a look? And he's like, yeah, it's cool. I don't know. I mean, rich famous people.
Little like WhatsApp, like, hey, what do you think of this? Don't tell anyone.
Like if I was designing a watch with Hodinky, I'd probably show you. And I'd be like, hey, Andy, big surprise. I'm going out on my own. I'm designing a watch with Hodinky. Yeah. It's going to be a little 36mm vintage number.
Rambo dial.
And you'd look at it and you go, oh, that's pretty sick, mate. Give me some feedback, change some stuff. And he'd be like, oh, can I grab it? And I'm like, yeah, sure. And I'd make sure you get one.
Well, I can keep secrets and embargoes, so if I wasn't allowed to tell you, I wouldn't tell you. Yeah, to all the brand people listening and otherwise.
Well, of course I would have cleared it with Hodinky first, you idiot. I'd get I'd have it in the contract that I'd have, I need some external consultants.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the fact that you're impugning my professionalism, I'm shocked.
I would never. Would you
like that save?
Anyway, what have you been liking lately?
I've been watching some, it's sort of a bit of a slower time of year, and I've been watching some TV, as is my want. I've been watching something a little bit different from the usual fare, a docuseries called Expecting Amy, largely by Amy Schumer, who you'll be familiar from her stand-up comedy, TV show Inside Amy Schumer, Trainwreck, other stuff. So basically, it's a 3-part docuseries filmed in 2018, 2019, and covers off first year of her marriage to her husband, Chris Fisher, her pregnancy and her prepping for she's doing a national tour and filming a Netflix comedy special. It's a big year. There's a lot going on there. And so as part of her pregnancy, she's got some really, really like chronic morning sickness. So she's just vomiting continuously through it. And like they show the vomiting and like they've got her like just like iPhone footage and, you know, it's not all sort of, you know, film crew stuff. And it's really hard. Like she gets, I think they tally it up at the end, like the amount of IV she gets because she's, you know, dehydrated is horrendous. It's really, really grim. But it's quite surprising. Like it's funny, but it's also a very humanizing look at a relationship at a really weird place. Like it's, you know, they've been together for a few years, they're married, they're, you know, having a kid. There's a lot of change at that time. And midway through, her husband is diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder. So that adds some extra stuff to it. Like it's just really, I found it really interesting because it is really a great example of good communication in a relationship and a lot of like really relatable sort of pregnancy stuff that, you know, a lot of people go through at some point in their lives on, you know, in some form, whereas it's, you know, famous celebrity people you assume sort of do it a bit differently, but maybe yes, maybe no. Like, yes, they go away to lovely places in the country, but also, you know, she's like vomiting in a hospital like a day before having to film like this big Netflix thing. So it's pretty interesting look at someone's life who is vaguely public. I'd recommend it.
Dropping some hints as well around communication. Excellent.
Another side note to this, I actually watched this after. They've also done, like during lockdown, they filmed. So the husband is a professional chef and is of some sort of renown. And
Chef
they
Chris.
film. Sorry?
Chef Chris.
Yeah. And they filmed, and she doesn't know how to cook. And so they filmed one where he teaches her how to cook during lockdown, and it is hilarious.
How cute.
Check that out on YouTube too. How about you? You been up to watching anything interesting?
We're watching something too. Do you know why 1991 was a great year?
The Berlin Wall, you know, had come down, and brands like, you know, Nomos Glashütte and Langensohn were able to, you know, unite their sort of workforces and you know, bringing together two halves of a fractured Germany.
Okay, through watchmaking. I was also born that year.
Oh, were you?
Do you know what else came out that year?
I think you're born in 1993 for some reason.
Oh, well, it's just that baby face of mine. 1991 was the year that Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey came out.
Awesome. Excellent. Party time.
Yeah, most definitely. 2020 was the year that Bill and Ted Face the Music came out. 29 years on.
Wow.
Yeah, it was one of those like films released during COVID that sort of, I guess, went like straight to Amazon Prime.
Sure.
Didn't get a lot of coverage. Obviously, like didn't really go to the box office.
Is it any good?
But you know, well, it's amazing. The film itself is pretty good.
Okay.
But it's basically okay. I'll tell you what it's about. Basically, the rule of the future tells Bill and Ted that they need to write a song to save life as we know it. But instead of writing it, they kind of try to travel through time to steal it from their older selves.
Smart.
But it's got a bit of a plot twist because they've both got daughters that have grown up and they've both been married to their princesses from 29 years ago. That are sort of they're in relationships that are on the rocks. So it brings together like the new and the old. So it's got like Samara Weaving, an Aussie in there.
Oh, nice.
And Christian Charles, so playing a young.
Oh yeah, Kirsten Charles can dance like a horse.
Daughters.
You won't get that reference, but sure.
Anyway, so Amazon Prime. I think it was Amazon Prime or maybe Google Play. I think I rented it.
Whoa.
But anyway, it was just like nostalgia, like I love the first films. Obviously, I was like a little kid watching the first sort of, I think there's two of them. And just like silliness. It's just like a fun night.
It's good. It's good. It's good that it sort of holds up because sometimes they can do those, 30 years on pieces and they just sort of, meh. What was the other? Was it Dumb and Dumber? They did a recent one.
Yeah, that wasn't that good.
No, it was...
Keanu, though. Keanu's, when he wants, he's just amazing.
He's always amazing.
Didn't play Hitman, though. Imagine if they merged the two into some sort of crossroads. Anyway, we need to take a quick break and then we need to make a long call.
This episode of OT the podcast is brought to you by our sponsors, Longines. We've spoken a bit in the past about their Spirit line, so today we thought we'd mix it up and have a look at one of their dive releases.
Which tsunami-sized splashes caught your eye, Felix?
I cannot go past the Longines Hydra Conquest in matte green.
Well, I am a sucker for a green watch. Very predictable, I know. And this aquamarine take on a classic Longines Hydra Conquest is a sharp looker that's sharply priced.
100% agree with that, Andy Green. What do you love about it?
Well, aside from those razor-sharp khaki looks, I think the solid build quality, automatic movement, and of course fantastic pricing are all pretty lovable.
Do not forget the ceramic bezel, which, you can't miss. But talk me through the finer points.
Do you want me to hit you with the price first?
I'm good, mate. I'm perusing Longines.com right now, and I can see that it is 2,400 Australian dollars. Hit me up with the specs, mate.
No worries. So, like you said, 2,400 Aussie dollars. Don't forget the free shipping and 24-month warranty when you buy from Longines online. The Hydra Conquest we're looking at is the green matte dial with matching bezel and strap. Of course, being a dive watch, the Hydra Conquest has a unidirectional bezel. Now, being a dive watch, it's also got a screw-down crown, ensuring 300 metres of water resistance. The case is 41mm with nicely curved lugs that hug the wrist, and that rubber strap is textured with a bit of a hash pattern, and it's comfortable, featuring a deployant clasp. Worth noting, this bad boy is also available with a stainless steel bracelet, and this exact spec of the Hydra Conquest also comes in a slightly larger 43mm case. Now, for the dial, there's large Arabic numbers and lume plots, as well as the hands. Like I said, they've been treated with the finest Swiss Super Luminova, and that sapphire crystal has plenty of AR coating either side. Now, like many of the divers on offer from Longines, the Hydra Conquest is powered by the caliber L888, which of course features 64 hours of power reserve.
That sounds all excellent, Andy, but who is this watch for?
Well, a good place to start is people with the last name of Green, but jokes aside, this is a personality-fueled piece. The triple green and bright white accents make a statement, and this just screams summer watch. Now, the dial really is quite interesting. At times, it's a darker khaki-esque colour, and at others, the green is much less intense, almost minty. Honestly, though, this is a huge amount of watch for the money. You're getting strong looks and build quality for a very reasonable $2,400.
The Hydra Conquest line is dedicated to men and women who are looking for a high-performance timepiece that combines elegance and technical innovation.
You got that right. So head to longines.com to discover the collection today and buy one online. We will link it up and we'll be posting pictures to our Instagram.
Let's get back to that show. Hello, Andy.
Enough of that. Enough of that nonsense. It's time to get down to business. Get Tom in the UK. Probably just got out of a supercar, ready to talk to a couple of fellas from Australia.
Talk about grifting and hustling and making something.
There's no drift talk. A lot of watch talk.
I said grift.
Grift. Oh, grift. Graft, mate.
Graft? Oh, grift is like scamming someone. No grift talk.
Yeah, no. Wow. Let's do it. On the line, we have a man with a very long list of things attached to his name. He's a YouTuber, car collector, watch enthusiast. He's a podcaster, entrepreneur, author, I think investment banker. His name's Tom Exton. He's got a garage full to the brim with supercars and a YouTube audience loyal and fierce. Tom, how's it going?
How's it going? That was a very grand intro. I sound very important when you let it all out like that. Thanks very much. It's good to be on here. Thank you.
No, it's great to have you on. And I guess the first question is, I've listed out what I think you do, but who are you and what do you do?
I think you pretty much nailed it there. You made it sound way more kind of important than it probably is. I do all of those things. Effectively, I'm just a car collector who squeezes in kind of social media stuff around a full-time job in finance and tries to start as many companies as I can and make as much money out of as many different things as possible and buy stupid shiny stuff as much as I can. So watches and cars.
I love that. Now, are you TG or are you Tom when we're podcasting?
Tom's fine. TG was just easier. It was a way early doors of keeping my kind of name off the internet and just having my initials there instead of my name. Doesn't take a genius to work out how I actually am. And it's not top secret, but it's just a little bit easier because with the job and stuff, just keep it all separate. But it's not that separate anymore. But whatever.
Yeah, very cool. I guess, you do all these, these different things and the different businesses that you talk about, but what's the game plan? Like where are you heading?
I wish I could tell you that there was a plan. I wake up every day and firefight and just try and make some content, and then buy something random. There is no real plan to it other than just try and keep the kind of listening and viewership figures up, keep the commercial partnerships going on the social media side. Try and hold on to my day job for the time being. That's not a long-term plan to stay in that. And yeah, just grow my businesses really. I wish I could give you a really kind of formal business plan on everything and a life plan, but there isn't one really. Just just make
World
money.
domination.
Well, I think that's how the best ones come along, isn't it? You don't have it all mapped out from
I
5-year
think so,
plans or whatever.
yeah, because if I had planned everything 12 months ago, it would have all gone to crap over the past 12 months anyway. So, yeah, I'm quite lucky. I am very reactive instead of sort of planning in advance. So, yeah, that's my
So
method.
you've got your fingers in a few pies. Would you call yourself an influencer?
Unfortunately, that is the term that has become, well, certainly in the UK, that's seen as less of a swear word than it used to be. I don't like calling myself an influencer, although I've been called a lot worse.
Sure.
It just sounds a little bit kind of
It's a bit of a dirty
cringe.
word, and like it's got negative connotations about
To
the
people
sort of.
not in the field, yes. To kind of your average guy who's just kind of not in that sphere, yeah, influencer. They kind of got this not the best kind of name, but if you're in that
Like
field and you're in marketing, then they're kind of they're an essential, really.
Well, even though it's a sort of a loaded term, influencer or sort of I don't know, yeah, marketing specialist or whatever. What makes someone good at it?
I think obviously you've got to have an audience there. That's like kind of just a prerequisite because you can influence all you want, but if you've got 3 people listening to you and it's your mum, your nan, and your dog, it's not going to make any difference. So obviously you need an audience, but I think a really huge part of that is someone that people trust. There's a lot of people with huge audiences but don't have much influence. So they've kind of almost got passive eyeballs that watch them. They've got kind of people that kind of sweep past what they're doing and just sort of invest in the content but not in the creator. And those people they don't have a huge amount of audience. They don't have a huge amount of influence. But I think you've got to be kind of honest. I think sometimes you've got to fly fairly close to the wind. The audience have got to trust you in order for them to listen to you. So there are guys out there with a really kind of relatively small audience, but the people that are
Yeah,
there really, really listen and kind of hang on their every word. So
yeah.
it's
How do
one of
how do you how do you do that? How do you sort of get asking for a friend? How do you get an audience to believe you or to be you're aware that you're being sold to in a way, but not for that to sort of turn you off? What's that? What's the secret sauce there?
the way I approached it, and this wasn't kind of a plan in the early days, the way I approached it, whenever I was putting sponsored content in, I was always really honest with my audience about it from the get-go that I was going to commercialize as much of my platforms as I could. I would still be doing the content I was going to do anyway, but I would commercialize the absolute hell out of all of it. Ultimately, I run the whole thing. I structure it business wise as a business. It's a company, so it's not a hobby for me as much as I enjoy it, and it's a job that I love. I commercialize every single aspect. So with my YouTube videos, I'll put out a video every time there'll be an advert in it. I'll either do an integration or there'll be adverts. So my audience are used to it now. They know that, with my job and my businesses and all that kind of stuff, I don't need to be doing it. Whilst it's a huge, huge part of my income now, and I kind of almost sort of mentally depend on it. I don't need to be doing it. And if I don't commercialize the hell out of it, then it's not worth me doing. So my audience know that that's part of my channel, and I've been really upfront about that in the early days. I think the guys that fall down are the ones that try and pull the wool over their audience's eyes in terms of they'll put an advert in there, and they really kind of try and smarm over this advert and try and fool the audience into thinking that they're just making this content anyway, and they're talking about the specific thing because they just love it. When in actual fact, the audience, they're not stupid. They've been watching thousands of hours of this content. They know when something's sponsored. So I think it's just really important that you're open with them from the get go, and they don't start to resent adverts on your channel. And I've had no real animosity on mine, so I'm quite lucky.
Yeah, that is lucky actually. I mean, from my perspective, YouTube comments are pretty brutal.
I mean, I could put like a gaming advert in for 2 minutes, and people, if they like it, they'll click the link, and they know clicking it supports the channel, but if they don't, they'll just skim it, and they don't abuse. They just understand that's it's good.
That's how
Audience
it is.
are great. Yeah.
So something I sort of see from my perspective is I get a lot, either anecdotally or from previous experience. I sort of see brands or people in marketing or PR. They sometimes want to get a quick result. So I think there's a tendency for them to go to like a big influencer that has terrible engagement and just will sell anything because it'll look good in a report in a 3 months time. I don't think that serves anyone really well. Like, I mean, maybe you get some awareness, but you're selling something sort of super niche with a really broad base approach.
Yeah.
I don't think that's sustainable. I don't think it works. And what you're saying is you want to have, you need to be working to better audiences and you need to sort of have some authenticity around it.
Yeah.
How do you think the influencer industry, I guess, can become better? And make it less of a sort of a snake oil salesman situation.
This is the $1 million question. So I think 3 years ago, it was definitely a lot worse. It is getting better and better. There's loads of analytics tools out there that will give you kind of headline figures and engagement. It'll see whether or not people have got bots and whatever following their accounts. So you do have people with huge accounts, but there's loads of fake followers. They got fake engagement. They got fake comments. I think with a tiny amount of digging, one of these kind of analytics pieces of software, a visit to Social Blade, a quick skim through some comments, a quick tap on someone's followers, you can see whether or not they've got fake followers. You can see whether or not it's fake engagement. But it still amazes me the amount of profiles that I know are doing all of this that are still getting brand deals. So obviously there are marketing people that are lazy, like everyone in every job pretty much at some point. Myself included. Mondays are a write-off, Fridays are a write-off. Tuesday I start thinking about getting going. Wednesday, something might happen. So it's it is getting better though. It is definitely getting better. They're getting wise to it, and I think the industry, it probably needs regulating, but how you do that, I don't know. The ASA are on top of things, throwing out kind of fines and stuff to people apparently this end in UK, the Advertising Standards Agency, but it's always going to be a bit snake oil, and there's always going to be lazy marketing people who just throw the entire budget at one influencer. It's not good news when they do that though, because they'll throw a load of money at one influencer and they won't get ROI on their campaign, and then the next year around when they come to do an influencer campaign, they think, well, it didn't work last year, so sod that, we're not doing it again, and then people lose out. So
yeah. And I reckon I can imagine you must get people looking at you and thinking you sort of are living the dream in terms of what you do, and you must have people sort of messaging or whatever saying, how do I do what you do?
Yeah.
What do you say to people like that? Like if they say, oh, I want to live that, I want to have the car and the watch and the lifestyle. What's your sort of
You're asking that very seriously, Felix, can I just say?
I can do it again.
No.
You must get this question all the time.
That's very deep.
That's my morning TV voice.
It is a Monday. You're forgiven.
Sorry. It's at the end of the day here. I'm tired.
I'm tired already.
I'm sorry.
I was tired 2 years ago. I think my response usually is something flippant. I'm not rude, but I don't understand what I'm supposed to say. I just say, it probably isn't as fun as it looks, and prepare to. I mean, I finance all my stuff, so I'll just make a joke about getting yourself in debt and enjoying the outgoings, something like that. I'm quite open about that sort of thing. The watches actually I don't fund, but I'm sure we'll get into that. But the cars very definitely. So anyone that asking to start their own business, they say, what one bit of advice would I give them? I just say prepare to be at work 24/7, because as soon as you've got your own business, I mean, you guys know what it's like. You're awake, you're at work. That's it. You don't have an office. You don't have working hours. If you're conscious, you're in the office. And that's some people love it, some people hate it, but that's the way I think about it anyway. As soon as I wake up, I'm just on it. I'm on all my phones, my laptops, just going at it. So yeah, that's what I say. Fairly depressing response to my young audience.
That's good.
It's a real answer. And what would you say when someone asks you, how did you get into watches?
That's a really good question. I think even as a kid, I mean, this is really nerdy, but even as a kid, I was kind of like, I used to draw loads when I was a child. I think there was something wrong with me. I was in some spectrum somewhere, but I was drawing like loads of. I used to draw watches, like design like watches, like all sorts of stuff. So I've loved them since I was a kid. Don't know why. Again, something just appeals to my head. So as soon as I was old enough and I had enough money, I completely overspent on a Rolex, and then I just got into it from there.
Which one?
Kermit.
Oh, it's not a bad one to overspend on.
Do you know what I lucked in? I wasn't that nerdy about it at the time, and I wasn't like, oh, I must have the anniversary. Hands rolled off. I was just, I just loved the fact it was green. I just enjoyed the fact it was a sub
Sure.
mariner. I knew I wanted a sub, and it was green. I think there was an element of probably I wanted an anniversary, but I didn't care that much. There was no investment knowledge from my mind at that point. I wasn't like, oh, this is going to go up. I was like, oh, I just want a green sub, sod it. And I've still got it. I barely wear it. I baby it the more out of all of them.
Yeah, well, I mean, the first one, and also obviously they've kind of tremendously increased in value. But where has sort of watch collecting taken you, sort of in the years since? Because I imagine we're talking a decade ago now when you got the Kermit, and I know for a fact that you've come a long way. But how have you, like, what's your view on actually watch collecting? Are you a collector, or do you just like kind of buying them to have?
No, I hoard. I'm very definitely a collector. Well, that's what it's turned into. I've just kind of amassed a pile of the things, and I can't getting into them's bar kind of the financial difficulty, but it's easy enough to get in and convince myself to get in. But in terms of getting rid of one, it's really, really hard. Even if I know it's not going up in value or I've lost a little money on it, I can't bring myself to get out. I always justify in my mind that, oh, that one's slightly different to the other, so that actually feels a really kind of clever part of my collection, when in actual fact it's just another watch I really, really don't need. Yeah, no, I am a collector. Very definitely.
Yeah, cool. What are some of your favorite pieces that you've collected over the last few years?
I bought an AP 15300 blue dial, which I think is the
Very
sweet spot.
nice.
I think that's one of the best Royal Oaks, 39 mil, great piece. But I ended up selling that when I bought one of my houses. I thought anyway, at that point I had a 15300 blue. I had a 5711 blue, which I paid nothing for. Like, and I mean, relatively speaking, like for one of those, absolutely nothing. I think it was 14k UK. So I don't know what that is in Aussie. 18.
Just under 20.
Oh yeah, there we go. So
Wow.
nothing. I don't know what prices are over there, but presumably completely unreasonable as they are here
Bananas.
now.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
I had a RM11 Le Mans.
Wow.
In rose gold with green in a bezel, which I paid. I'm not going to try and convert it again because I got it wrong last time, but 46 UK for.
Sure.
Wow.
Yeah, so I had some aggressive stuff, and I obviously still had my Kermit as well. So I was doing okay then, watch wise. I mean, financially I wasn't. I was just at ground zero every month. But I had some nice watches to show for it.
I mean, well, I think that's not it's not ridiculous, because they've gone up in value.
Yeah, you see, I got rid of them.
A little bit early.
I'm sorry.
Each one of them I got rid of within sort of 6 months or so, because I was buying a house and I was like, no. And my mum was like, Tom, stop being stupid. Like, you got to put your money in property. Bear in mind, it's not her money. She's got absolutely nothing to do with any of it. She didn't give me any money at all. But
You're
she
not my
was
mum.
trying to offer me financial advice. Yeah. And I thought, no, you must be right. Property sounds like the sensible thing to have your money in. Like, what am I doing buying watches?
Everyone says.
I'm going to take your word for it. I'm going to get out of all these watches. But had I not got out of those, I would have been able to put a deposit down on maybe another one or two. I mean, those RM11s for a start, they're sort of 160 odd here. So I would have made 120k tax free on it, on that loan. Horrible. I probably would have done 200. It cost a lot. Anyway, go on.
I like that you're quite open talking about prices of watches, because it's sort of I don't know what it's like in the car world, but in watches it's a bit. Everyone gets a bit weird talking about money, and especially around those sort of hot, hypey pieces, your APs and your RMs. They don't want to. They're like, oh yeah, the questions are, what did you pay? Did you pay retail?
Yeah.
And the implications around that is that you've paid a premium, you've gone grey, or you're only buying it to flip. What do you think about that sort of flipping watches situation?
I actually had this question via DM the other day. Someone said, "Oh, what do you think of watch flippers?" And I said, "There's a lot worse going on. The fact that people are buying them at retail and churning them on. Um, I don't know. I don't know. I don't. I can't bring myself to hate it as much as it's annoying, and I want stuff at retail. And I'm not that good with the dealers. I don't have a good in anywhere really. I get the occasional Rolex steel sports piece, but I don't have an in at RM. I'm hopefully getting the flyback 72 this year, hopefully. But I don't have a good in at Patek. So I kind of watch flippers do negatively impact me in that I can't
You have
get
to pay
stuff,
more.
and if I want stuff, I have to pay overs. But I can't bring myself to get upset about it. It's not life-saving medication. It's a luxury item, and it's a free market. So demand and supply. The price is going to meet where it meets, and I can't control that, and I just got to roll with it. There's more annoying people out there to be annoyed at.
So I have a follow up to that. 'Cause that's a really good perspective, and I think you're probably you're a person in a good position to give that perspective. But I have a follow up, and is it the same as sort of getting an allocation on a GT car, for example, and then flipping it? Like, is it just fair game, and it's just kind of sometimes you win, sometimes you lose? Because I know you've as Felix mentioned, you're very open about your pricing and the prices you pay for things, and you're very upfront in the videos. You talk about what you paid and how much the finance costs and all that sort of stuff. Do you think it's just fair game then? Like, because you've lost money on cars that were supposed to be hot, and you've made money on other cars. It's just fair game.
Yeah, 100%. I've been that flipper before, and I've also been that guy that's not got an allocation and seen other people that shouldn't have got it flip them. So I've been on both sides of the coin, and I really can't say that it's like life changing either way. I don't, but what? I got a Cayman GT4 years and years and years ago, a Porsche GT product for kind of watch guys that aren't car nerds, but basically a Porsche GT product, completely over demanded. Supply was limited, and I got allocated this thing, and it was given to me as an allocation to apologize for me not getting allocation on something else. And I thought, I've got this thing. If I love it, I'm going to keep it. But if I don't absolutely love it, there is a 15 grand check with my name on it, tax free, sat there. If I get rid of it, so it's got to be 15 grand tax free good. And I've got to love it, otherwise it goes. And I was driving around, it really hurt my back because I had a sciatica at the time, and so I was like, sod it, get rid of it. I got a little bit of animosity at the time as well. Some of my audience were like, "Oh, you car flipper," as though car flipper is the worst thing in the world. And I was like, well, yeah, you'd probably do the same in my shoes, even if you loved it. And I don't even love it, so why would I keep it just to please you lot? Like, what's the point?
It's a fair answer.
I think the thing is, I mean, it's the implication there is that you have to do it to please the manufacturer.
Yeah, so I have a question. I have a question here, and I'm curious for the comparison. Is getting a Ferrari Pista at retail the equivalent of getting a 5711 at retail now, in terms of the hoops?
2 years ago, yes. Now, no. Pistas have fallen through the floor here. I got out of mine at the last minute and kind of did quite well on it, but Pistas have fallen through the floor. They're at retail now, if not below now in the UK. They made too many of them, but certainly when they came out, yeah, it was the equivalent of a 5711 to an extent. They were about 100 grand over.
Do you think the same thing will happen with the Patek Nautilus?
I think that prices will soften. I don't ever think they're going to go anywhere near retail. No. I think the prices have softened a little bit. I don't keep a track at the end of the market. There's no point. I'm not going to buy in at that point. So
yeah, it's silly.
But I think prices have softened on the Patek steel stuff, maybe.
Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, and like you said, that you've alluded to, like, there's a lot of relationship building involved with sort of getting luxury cars, luxury watches, especially the hot pieces, through retailers and authorized dealers and car dealers. And what I find really interesting, someone in your sort of high profile position that's really open with sort of buying things, selling things, the true cost of owning things, and just brutally honest thoughts and feedback on the goods themselves. Like, 10 years ago, you would never have someone say to, 1 million or 250,000 or 500,000 people that, yeah, look, this like, £1 million car is great, except for like, the dash is a bit shit and the whatever feature sucks. How do you sort of manage the, I guess, your desire to kind of keep buying these things and the need, like your job, which is, well, your part-time job, which is kind of creating this content without sort of getting yourself in hot water? And at this point, do you even care?
I've got myself in hot water with a few brands already, to be honest, and I'm kind of the customer journey is quite different to the kind of the YouTuber influencer nonsense that goes on. So
Mm-hmm.
I fell out with Ferrari recently, Ferrari UK specifically, their kind of PR
Saw that.
team. There's one individual there in particular who, for years, has been very condescending. He's been very kind of just smug and just really odd to myself and a number of others. I've been buying these cars for years, and I'm a huge supporter of the Ferrari brand. So yeah, I just caused a fuss on social media. For those not aware, I'm sure you won't be aware. Effectively, Ferrari's main UK account in the UK blocked me on Instagram, which is all very petty. It's all very kind of schoolboy kind of stuff. It's playground politics kind of thing. But I thought, as a long-term customer, and this was for actually no reason whatsoever, I hadn't been abusive to them at all. So I just thought, it's I'd been quite outspoken about their spend on some influencers. So Ferrari historically have never spent on influencers. They've never spent money for sort of matey boy to run around making Instagram stories in the dealership.
So they don't give you Ferraris for free to drive?
Absolutely not, sadly. And you can get a demo car off them if you want, but you have to jump through so many hoops, and you have to really massage this guy in the PR department, which I'm just not doing. It's ridiculous. So yeah, they started spending all this money on an influencer called Shmee, which I don't know if many of you will know. If you're into cars, you'll know who Shmee is.
For sure.
And I just found it bizarre. So I questioned this in my Instagram stories, not in a rude way, not in an abusive way. I just said I find it incredibly confusing because Ferrari for years have said we don't want influencers filming in our dealerships. We don't want to do any stuff like this. Certainly the UK PR guy had said all of this to me and loads of others. And then we see this kind of paid partnership with Shmee running around in the dealership trying to flog used cars. It just made the whole brand look really silly, really cheap. So I questioned this, and I just said, as a customer and an influencer, I don't understand it from either side. And then I found out they'd blocked me on the main account. So I just told all my followers to go and let Ferrari UK know what they really thought. But I stressed, don't be abusive. Unfortunately, some of them didn't heed that advice. But yeah, there was kind of 900 odd comments on Ferrari's account, and it just went haywire. And the head of comms actually rang me at 11 p.m. saying, can we have a chat? To which I replied, I'm playing with my dog, leave me alone. But yeah. So yeah, and back to your question then, we've gone off on a tangent, but I don't mind too much just being completely myself and at the risk of offending brands. If I think it's justified, which in that case it was, it's completely unprofessional from them. And I think it would have been weird of me to let it lie. So I don't mind annoying the brands sometimes. Mercedes recently, I panned one of their electric cars. I think as long as you're being constructive, it doesn't matter too much. And, I can go and buy another Mercedes. That doesn't matter. I can go and buy another Ferrari. It doesn't matter. I'm not going to get any more Ferrari limited stuff anyway, I don't think. There's nothing really that I want coming from them. It's all electric and a bit smelly now. So I'm not too bothered. I'm not as bothered as most of the other guys. All the other guys are kind of reliant on getting demo cars and scrounging trips and whatever. You don't get paid for the trip, so it costs
the
money.
access. If you don't,
it sounds like you've gotten to a point of, I think, independence where, and it's a beautiful kind of spot in the equilibrium of sort of working with brands, but also maintaining independence and sort of the freedom to say and do what you think and buy what you think. And,
yeah, sure.
It's honestly, I think for content creators that, do this for a job or for at least income earning, like that's the dream. So I think that is in itself, and in this context, really respectable. So that's a great answer, and I saw the beef with Ferrari UK, and your audience is they're fierce and they're loyal, which again it's a testament to sort of the take and the position that you take on the content that you do.
Yeah, I think it was a nice case study because it's all very well kind of getting influencers to be nice, but I think also on the other side, I mean, Ferrari completely have discounted my influence for years and years and years, despite the fact I see in my DMs, I sell a lot
Mm.
of cars. I have people buying F12s almost daily and messaging me saying, you've gone about the F12 so much, I've just picked up a used one. I see it happening. And to be discounted and kind of belittled by the guy there, I just thought, well, we'll see how much my influence matters when, you're on the other end of it. So anyway.
Not afraid of a hot take. What I want to dip into, because you again, I saw you made some big time news during the week, or the week just passed, on the release of the PS5s. So you have a business that you work with, and I think you might own. It's Crep Chief Notify?
Yeah.
Did I get that right?
Yeah.
You own a chunk of it. So
Yep.
explain to me what it is. Feel free to give it a plug, but it's a subscription service where you get notified of, products that are likely to have a lot of hype around them, sorry. And then you can kind of find out where to purchase it. How does it work exactly?
Effectively, it's a big community. You pay a monthly subscription to be a part of a community and a group. Those horrible scammy trading. I mean, I'm not doing the best sell here. Those horrible scammy like kind of trading groups where people give you tips and they
Yep.
kind of give you like what to buy and when and whenever. It's effectively like that, but not for currency and FX and all sorts of unregulated horrible activity like that. It's for hyped releases. There's things from like art on there,
Mm-hmm.
through to things that are kind of really kind of topical during lockdown. To hot tubs for some reason, were a thing that people were making loads of money on here. Through to game
Wow.
consoles like PS5s, Xboxes, through to Supreme on there. There's Yeezys, and basically anything where demand outstrips supply and the price is going to go through the roof. We have bots, monitors, all sorts of weird and wonderful tools all over the internet, and admin team monitoring everything to let
Mm-hmm.
people know what to buy, when to buy it. So a lot of these things, when they sell out, there's actually restocks that pop up, that day, the next day, but at random times. And we've actually got the software that will pick up
Yeah.
on these things and ping everyone straight to their phone and let them know where it is and when. So effectively, it's for people that want to get into reselling or just get stuff for list price that don't want to pay over. So it's your Protect 5711, but in every different industry under the sun, basically. Even things like Royal Mint coins that came out. Was the kind of a £5 coin or something
Sure.
came out recently. I had no idea about them, but our guys knew, so all our members just hoovered them up and they all just flogged them on and made a load of money. It's great.
That's that's fascinating. Like for me, I'm like, I know this with watches, but I understand that it's a big world out there, and there's people like me into every little different bit of it.
Mm.
With one of the things that I think really interesting in the watch business is that in the last couple of years, you've seen a lot of movement from like the big groups like Richemont and LVMH. They're getting into the secondary market in a serious way. So they're realizing that, they're seeing the premiums and the hype prices and they want a piece of it. So you're getting platforms like Chrono24, Chronext, Watchfinder, Watchbox, eBay's doing more in that sort of space. What's your take on what this means and, where it's going to go?
I think whilst the brands can get involved and have their piece of the pie and make money for their kind of shareholders and whatever, that's totally understandable. And I'd be amazed I'm amazed they haven't done it sooner. I don't think they're ever really going to be able to control the price and give the price to consumers at a sensible price unless they start bumping up supply. So I don't think there's anything to worry about in terms of if you're in the grey market or you've got a load of pieces and you think, oh, are they going to lose value now the brands are getting involved? I don't think it's going to make any difference on that front. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know. I'm not that involved in the watch market as possibly I am in the car market. I'm kind of just more of a buyer than a spectator on the market. But I think, I think it's an unsurprising move, and I know Richard Mille are doing it as well. They've got a boutique coming in London with all the used pieces. But I was in there recently and I said, what are the prices going to be? Is it going to be like a lot of car dealers? They're not actually allowed to flip. They're not allowed to resell their cars for more than retail price. They're kind of not allowed to. And their prices are just going to be used market prices, if not more, because they come with warranty. So they're just going to solidify the market. They're just going to put an official stamp in the sand saying a Bubba is 190.
Yeah, they're going to set the... And I think they will take some of the risk out. Like I know people, certainly if you're spending, Richard Mille money, you might not want to, do that randomly from some dude on eBay.
Yeah, 100%. And the warranty
so there is, I think,
huge on Richard Mille because it's now it comes and goes with the purchaser. So if you flip the RM on to someone, Yeah, they just started doing this. You know, if I bought a bubba off
Sneaky.
someone and strolled in there and said, "Oh, the hour hand's fallen off," they were like, "Right, who are you?" They'd run your name through a system. Like, well, it's not a warranty, mate. You bought it off a grey market dealer. See you later. So you have to give it back
Yeah, I
to the
don't think
person you
they
bought it
probably
from.
wouldn't get away with that in Australia, Andy. I don't think
Y-
that'd fly
So
here.
part of the a few dealers that used to have like Rolex, the licenses and old contracts that they were allowed to resell pre-owned Rolex. So if you're an AD, you could do it, but it was never for more than retail price. So occasionally you would see, a worn green sub in the window that was $100 less than the green sub that they didn't have available new. And
Yeah.
it was just a weird technicality and outdated. And
They just took a trade in.
yeah, took a trade in, but I believe those contracts have probably all been wiped by now because I don't think Rolex would want that anymore.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It used to happen in the car world as well. A Ferrari, I think, typically weren't allowed to list their kind of pistas and stuff at overs, so they'd sit behind the scenes and be offered out by dealers at huge overs to customers.
Yeah,
Yeah, interesting world.
Yeah, sure. And speaking of, the sort of, if we want to get into, the interesting world of Ferrari, financing and shenanigans, you have a podcast of your own, I believe.
I do. I recently delved into the podcasting world a few weeks back.
welcome.
Actually,
Hey,
yeah. Do you know what? I really prefer it to videos because the editing is literally just snip, snip, snip. Get rid of some of the gaps. Find out if someone's sworn. Easy. It's great. I should have done it sooner. So, yeah, it's called Dribble with TGE. I thought I was clever with the podcast art. Because the drive section of it is a different color to the L on the end, so it's kind of a play
Genius.
on words there. It doesn't sound quite as
nice.
clever now. I'm going through it on verbally, but yeah. So there we go. So it's basically automotive, loosely kind of sphered, but it's me veering off and just being
It's almost
basically weird
monologue
about
style, I
stuff.
think, which I think is a strength of yours. We've talked about it sort of over the last couple of weeks, and the approach and the structure of it is it's almost like a monologue, and it's really interesting to sort of hear your train of thought for 30 minutes and how it flows along, and it doesn't sound like there's a heap of editing, which is interesting because it's to kind of maintain clarity over that period is quite tough. But I guess you're pretty seasoned in the content creation space, so it probably comes pretty natural to you.
I
Yeah.
struggle having clarity over 5 minutes.
You have 5 seconds, mate. Well, we'll link up. We'll link up Dribble. Great podcast. I think you've got a handful of episodes out now. By the time this goes live, there'll be plenty more to listen to. What I want to talk to you about now, cautious of time, is some recent acquisitions. There's been a couple that I'm really keen to hear about. The first one is the GP times Bamford. Can you tell me why you bought it?
I bought it. I love the Laureato.
Yep.
Anyway,
You got a
I
few.
think it's a great watch. I've got uh, 3 of them. Yeah, already. Um, I just like that. I've done some work with GP in the past.
Mm-hmm.
For full disclosure, I have done some work with them. I've done some sponsored stuff with their boutique in London, Boucher, actually. So
Yep.
I've done some stuff. For anyone that knows that I've done that, don't think this is a plug or a spawn or anything like that. They actually lent me some press pieces. I've always had an eye on the Laureate, and I've always thought, no, I don't know,
Yeah,
not
yeah.
sure. And they lent me some pieces anyway. They lent me the black ceramic, a skeleton, and the steel chrono.
Nice.
This was well over a year ago now, and I had them for a couple of weeks. I got some content with them, and it came to giving them back, and I thought I actually really, really like these watches. I've really enjoyed wearing them. I've not just worn them for my content; I've just worn them like non-stop. Particularly the black ceramic skeleton. Um, so I said, what can we do? I want one. They wouldn't give me one. I mean, believe you me, I tried it. I tried it. I tried. What?
We all
I was
have.
like, why not
We
just
all
keep?
have.
I just keep this one. You just say it was lost. You claim on your insurance, and I'll just keep it. And jobs are good. And thanks very much. Didn't have any of it.
You just should have just dropped it a few times before you took it back. Maybe.
Should have done, or I should have just said, yeah, got punched in the face for it. Sorry, it's no longer a thing. But then it would be seen in my content down the line, and also, it's obviously fraud. So
Yeah.
we don't do that.
That's not the smart play.
Also fraud,
No.
yeah.
Yeah, also fraud. More of that. So I ended up buying one. So the worst brand deal in the world, the most uncommercially minded person in the world, and ended up spending way more than I got paid for the campaign on a watch that they lured me into by sending me one. So any brands listening out there, send me something, and if it's shiny enough, I'll probably end up buying it. No, I love the piece, and I ended up over the past kind of year or so, and more recently, I bought the steel
Hmm.
Laureato skeleton, and I've also bought the full rose gold
Oof.
skeleton as well.
Damn.
Yeah. So
And so the Bamford's white ceramic
oh
bracelet,
yeah,
it's
and
in the
that one's
38
sorry.
millimeter. So that's the
Yeah.
one you bought like a couple of days ago, recently came out, limited edition. But what drew you to that piece? Like the all white, it's pretty bold. It's probably a little bit smaller than the other GPs that you have.
Yeah, I like the size, 38 mil. I think watches are going back that way. I've got a
Hmm.
few kind of sort of 36 mil stuff like that, so I don't mind a smaller watch. I've got very girly wrists, and I think for a white piece, you don't want it enormous. You don't want it
Hmm.
horrible because it's going to end up looking like a
Hmm.
Hublot or something like that. So I think it's quite nice that um, it's slightly smaller, and I just think it's really nicely made because I know with the black ceramic, there's a load of kind of different finishes on there. There's polish, there's really nice brushing, and they've done that with the white as well. It's got really nice features like a little DLC titanium crown, kind of that little zebra second hand, and the Clou de Paris dial. They've put that back
Hmm.
in there. I'm not the Bamford thing. I'm not an avid fan of Bamford.
Hmm.
I mean, I don't have any problem with them at all, and I do love the customization side. But it's not like I'm a diehard Bamford fan. That wasn't the thing that won me over. What won
Mm.
me over is the fact it's a kind of really cool, like UK based collab
Hmm.
on an all white ceramic Laureato, which they've never done before. So, um, yeah, I love it. I don't think it's going to do huge money in terms of if I need to get out, I'm going to make money on it. They probably won't sell out anytime soon, I don't think.
Yeah,
But I
it's
just think
pretty
it's cool.
pretty niche. An all white watch is a
It is, and the
required thing
Laureato
nowadays.
anyway. There's not exactly kind of a queue around the block for them. You can pick them up
Mm.
fairly readily,
Yeah.
even the kind of the steel blue dials. So yeah, that was kind of a passion buy, really, spare at the moment buy, but it just fills a nice place in the collection. Just a nice summer watch. I don't have any all white kind of ceramic pieces. I really want the all white AP perpetual calendar ceramic.
Oof, that's a
I
That's
watch.
killer.
really want that. Really, really want it. But
Yeah.
realistically, I can't get it at list, and I'm not paying overs just because I'm principled and odd and stubborn.
Sure. Now, what's the deal with your Laurent Ferrier?
So I'm yet to reveal that to my audience yet.
That's all right.
Um, no, but it's fine. No, that's absolutely fine. I mean, if they're listening to this, they're
We got
into
a
their watches,
scoop.
and yeah, you want a very petty scoop there. But no, I kind of buy stuff, and then it'll appear a month or two later on my Watch Talk episodes on YouTube. So I'd sit down and do a little review of it. So that is coming to the channel. I haven't even filmed it yet, but the Laurent Ferrier, I don't know. That came around because I don't know about you guys, but I'm sick of the kind of the hype pieces. I'm
Hmm.
bored of it. I don't know about you guys, like the kind of the Patek stuff, and now we're looking at. I mean, for those listening, obviously, I've got a Laurent Ferrier Grand Sport Tourbillon, the
Very
steel
cool.
on rubber piece.
That's
Yeah, with kind
incredible.
of the grey brown strap, rubber strap. For the price you can pick one of those up for, if
Hmm.
you look around at kind of the hyped brands, what you can get in that. I mean, you can get a 5980 Patek, or 5711 and a bit of change, um, or some pretty punchy AP stuff. But I don't know what it's like in Oz. I don't know who wears what, but over here, you go to any of these kind of smarmy, annoying bars full of smarmy, annoying people. Everyone's got an
Hmm.
AP on. Everyone's got a Patek
Hmm.
on. Everyone knows what they are. Everyone's talking about, did you pay this? Did you pay this? Did you pay that? Um,
Yeah.
and it's annoying. It's annoying. It doesn't feel like the community it used to be kind of years ago, where you know you could wear a Patek out and someone will say, "Oh, nice AP." That doesn't happen anymore. Everyone knows what a Patek is. People are kind of more clued up, and everyone's buying the same thing. And I don't want to be involved in that anymore. So I've kind of gone left of field. The Laurent Ferrier story is really cool. It's obviously got a motor racing background, Porsche racing background. And it's truly limited. There aren't any of them about. There's 12 of them made, and I don't think they sold
Yeah,
them
not
all. So
many.
you're not gonna see anyone with one. And also in London, a huge thing at the moment is crime, watch crime specifically. I
Yeah.
It's
True.
not a watch you're probably going to get followed for unless you kind of contextualize it wearing really expensive stuff and getting out of an expensive car, which I mean I'm probably going to get attacked anyway then. But I think in itself, the Métis next to you with a Daytona is going to get attacked before you are.
Yeah, that's a fair
It's
point.
Yeah.
very under
It's
the
a
radar.
lovely watch. It's a very special watch as
Yeah.
well. You're
Sad that that's a consideration, but
no,
that's
it's London though.
smart.
It's London these days. So the obviously, that's very high end horology. Are you finding yourself sort of drifting more towards independent brands lately?
I am, yeah. I think the market is going that way, but as I say, I'm bored of the big time ones. I'm bored of the kind of the usual suspects. Rolex steel stuff does absolutely nothing for me anymore. I don't find myself even wearing any of that. I'm kind of umming and ahhing whether to get rid of some of it. But I'm more interested in Jean, Ferrier, that kind of level. Still not too niche. Moser, I've got a
Mm-hmm.
green streamliner coming. Um,
Oh, lovely.
yeah, so I'm taking a punt on a few of them, but as I say, I'm not purely in this to make money out of pieces. Obviously, it's a huge sweetener if you buy something that you love and you
Yeah,
know it goes up in value. That's better than buying something you love and it doesn't go up in value or you lose money on, obviously. Um, so yeah, I'm
that's a
kind
great
of
yeah.
swinging away. Yeah.
It's turning left every now and then. So, all right, I have four pretty hard and fast questions to finish on. Um, the first one is obviously there's this formula that you have with sort of creating content around the cars, which then pays for the cars. So,
Yeah.
and I imagine when you look at things and you look at cars, there's probably a spreadsheet that comes out, and you can kind of factor in all of the different elements and work out if it's a if that plays into the decision making process. What I want to know is, and I'm asking for a mate, will this work for watches?
I've tried it with watches to an extent, and
Does it work?
being not a watch channel, no, it's not
Fuck.
working now. But
All right.
being a watch channel though, being solely watches, yeah, it can do. If you,
Okay.
I mean, I don't know how it works over there, but potentially you guys could, buy watches with your company, make a load of content with them, pump it up, and then pump up the market on it as well, and
Mm-hmm.
then throw it
Are
back
you
into a
taking notes,
pumped
Felix?
market.
I'll just refer to Hodinkee.
In an
Yeah.
ideal world, this is how it'd work. You buy a watch with a company, and I'm not saying this is what I do, but I don't know how it works over there. But you could buy a watch with your company, put it all through, make a load of content out of it, make a load of episodes, and sponsor the hell out of them. You obviously get an uplift in numbers, an uplift in eyeballs, whatever. And then you also pump up the market as well. And then you throw it back into the marketplace. You don't lose any money because you pump the market on it, and you've also got the sponsorship and all the cash out of it, and an uplift in eyeballs as a result. You then obviously can
Genius.
monetize that further, and then you go again and again and again, and you just kind of try and snowball it. That's the way
That's the
forward.
secret.
And
All right.
that
Next
well,
question is.
yeah, sorry. Go on.
No, that's all right. We don't want to tell everyone the secrets. All right. So the next question is, you mentioned it. If you could finance a watch the same way that you finance a Ferrari, which watch would it be?
Oh, it would have to be something RM and aggressive. I want the Cyril Congo RM. I just think it's great. I mean, that's probably a poor reflection on me as an individual, the fact that I want that. But um, a white Bubba or a grey Bubba, that's something I've always wanted. And I went in recently, and the boutique here in London said, we can get you one. And then they discontinued them like 3 weeks later. So furious.
All right. Well,
RM
fingers
this year.
crossed.
Yes.
Last question I have before Felix gets some recommendations off you. So we mentioned loyal fans, and the beef with Ferrari UK very very clearly demonstrated that. Why do you think people like you so much?
I mean, there's a lot of people that hate me, but the ones that like me, I think they like the fact that they were following me a few years ago. I was driving around in kind of a snot box, and it's all self-made. I don't make any secret of the fact that I'm happy to do kind of 18, 19-hour days and
Mm-hmm.
put the graft in 7 days a week, and I don't stop. And I think they quite enjoy the fact that I'll just spring up with a new business. Almost once every kind of quarter, there'll be one or two new companies that I just throw out there and give a go. Um, so it's not through lack of trying, and I think that really kind of resonates with people. And it's difficult to hate someone that kind of makes money out of hard work. Um, it's not a silver spoon, which is what on the outset a lot of these people kind of all their flashy cars online. A lot of the time it is, and nothing against that, but it's quite difficult to get behind that. So I think it's that element and the fact that I'm kind of just honest about stuff. But I think that's what it is.
Nice. So, last question, and I think this is going to have to be a bit of a hypothetical question for you, given that you're working, 20-hour days and, opening a new business every second week.
Yeah.
You've got some downtime. You're reading something, you're watching Netflix, you're doing something that is not work-related. What is it? What have you been enjoying recently? The latest series of The Crown?
I got so much abuse for abusing The Crown.
I'm not a fan.
Everyone loves it.
I'm with you.
Know this
I'm not a
backstory.
fan.
I'm so bored of it. I don't care what the royal family do. Anyway, I don't know. What, Netflix specifically?
Whatever, mate.
What are you listening to,
I don't know.
watching, reading? That's normally playing with your dog.
I don't read. I don't watch stuff. I don't watch YouTube. I don't watch Netflix that much. I just like walking my dog and playing with my dog and talking to my dog and feeding my dog treats.
Man, that's healthy. That's
yeah,
very good.
I think your dog's more famous than us, Felix. I just got to say, it's Crisps, right?
There's a lot of dogs.
He's big time. He's big time.
He is. Yeah. He's a popular dog, I must say. I think he's
is Crisps making money?
So we've done some brand deals with him.
That's amazing.
Nice.
We got a brand deal with Spotify, and there was one or two other ones. So he's kind of paying for his own kind of health insurance, which is quite nice.
That's great.
But we're about to monetize him properly. I'm about to launch a dog clothing brand with kind of pastiche versions of hype clothing. So instead of Supreme, it says Pupreem. Instead of North Face, it says Dog Face. Instead of Balenciaga, it says Paulenciaga. Antisocial Social Club is Antisocial Puppy Club. Yeah, so that's
what's this? What's it called? Do we know what the business is called? Can we
Hype Pooch? HYPOOCH. It's coming, so that's going to drop Black Friday.
World.
Yeah, so he can start paying his.
Why didn't we lead with this, Andy? This is
I didn't know.
We've done this podcast wrong.
That's amazing.
I haven't told my audience about this yet, but I don't know when this is going out. So it's launching on Black Friday. You're clear. And I'm kind of, my girlfriend hated her job. She was kind of modeling like full time basically, and it's not something she wants to do all her life. And clearly, she probably won't be able to do it all her life. So I wanted to start a business and do something we both enjoy, which is messing around with our dog. So he was doing some modeling yesterday. So yeah, he's a good little sod. I love him. Yeah.
Well, we'll have to link up. We'll have to link up Crisps. Tom, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate the time. Cautious, you have to hit the road. We'll link up your Instagram. That's at TGE_LDNM, and Felix can have fun pulling together all of the other links and businesses.
Everything. We'll just link
that fall within the
everything.
empire. Just maybe you need a Wikipedia page or something. You probably have one. But thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate your time.
No, thank you very, very much for your time. Sorry, I've got to kind of dash off. But no, let's catch up. Maybe I'll come back on the podcast at some point. We can see how much money I've made out of selling dog clothes and what watches I bought as a result.
Yeah, love that. Definitely.
Let's do it.
All right.
Cheers.
And there we go. What a superlative conversation with Tom, as I now like to call him, rather than
TGE.
TGE. I feel like we're on a first name basis. Can't wait to discover more about his pooch line of hype clothing, which I think is genius, just quietly. So thank you for coming on. Also, Andy, we need to thank this week's sponsors, which is of course Longines. They're wonderful people. You should check out the website. Check out the watches we've been chatting about. If you want to tell us what you think of TGELDN, you can email us at otthepodcast@gmail.com, or you can DM us at ot.podcast on Instagram. Anything else we need to thank, Andy?
Major Tom Media, as always, for producing the show. If you like it, tell your friends, subscribe, leave 5-star reviews. Let everyone know 2021 is the year of OT. We will catch you guys next time.
See you later.